We're recording? All right. It's 8:30. We'll go ahead and get started with the Hancock County Council and Budget meeting. And start off by reviewing fund balances, as Jim always does. Deb, I noticed there's a handful of negatives, so I'll just let you speak to if any of those have anything worth saying, but I imagine they're just grants.
Reimbursable grants. I can let you know that right now. And the jury pay's getting really.
Saw that. County general is healthy, over 22 million. Lit economic development also looks good. Lit special purpose, we finally are getting into a date span expenditure that exceeds receipts. We'll should likely see that continue to come down with the new tax rate lowered. Cume Bridge and Cume Cap, both healthy, although we are really working through things with the Cume Cap. The Health Fund, 1159, it's nice, as well as the Health First Indiana, over 2 million. Lit Public Safety, also looking good, with expenditures about in line with receipts. Rainy Day sits at target per usual. Statewide E911 is getting lower. The expenditures outpacing receipts by a fair margin. The Lit Correctional Facility Fund is sitting very healthy. I think that's what we're using to pay cash for the sheriff's building. Correct, Greg? The sub-fund looks good. Lit PSAP also healthy with expenditures in line. We're going to talk more about the next GO bond, but looking back at old GO bonds, Deb, I did want to touch with you the debt service on the 2019. That's one of our negative numbers. Anything to note there?
We won't have that until a settlement comes in, and then that'll replenish that, and then we'll make that bond payment on schedule.
Perfect.
We're good.
Rest of the GO bond debt service funds looking good. TIFs look good. We count on Kent to tell us if something's happening otherwise from the RDC. EDA payments sitting at $238,000. If I missed it, update me, but at some point soon, should we have another council conversation about intent and process and future of that fund as more comes in?
I thought it was under the recommendation and or control of the commissioners that we just allocated, but that's just my memory.
I'm not mistaken, it is.
Are you guys having any, I know it's not a big balance yet, but you guys have that on your radar to keep an eye on that? We should have more this year. I can't remember how much more we're expecting this year, but.
It's not come up for discussion.
We just actually ran some numbers and sent to FSG just to make sure that we're on target with the calculations and kind of what that intent was from the EDA to the confirming to the 5% of the abated property. So we are working with FSG on that right now. So we should have some updated information that maybe even next week's meeting.
I was trying to find, did you ask Gary if they had?
He said they haven't started discussing
okay.
yet.
I just missed
which
that part.
It's still not a ton of money to do something substantial.
What's on our
with it.
radar right now is the GO bond.
Yeah, we've been saying for years, when money finally comes, and money finally comes. So I guess we'll circle back to that this year and talk about the future of that fund. Jury pay, a little bit negative. We tried to get out of that hole. Here we are again.
It's usually like that, but we just had some big juries and, whenever you're ready to kind of replenish that, then that's what we'll do. We just don't want to be negative for long.
Is that something that you want addressed sooner than later?
I mean, I would, but.
Yeah.
I think so.
What
Since
is
it's already
your,
negative.
do you have a recommendation on what would be needed so you're not, I can see it's negative $1,300, but what's next month and next month bring?
It just depends on the juries. So what do we usually do, about 25,000 at a time or no?
Well, we've never shorted up until the end of the year. We've been negative this early before.
Okay.
I do know as of today, we are negative 19,000. We just paid out the large jury trial that was in Superior 1.
They've had, I think, 12 jury trials this year.
And I think there's more coming.
There's a lot more coming.
So I think there's gonna be two concerns. We're gonna have a cash issue, and then we're also gonna have an appropriation issue. We've already burned through half of the appropriation.
Can we put this on the regular council meetings agenda for next
Yeah.
week and then you could have hard numbers as to what and all that? Okay.
And I just want to note, nobody really oversees this fund. It's just
Right.
kind of out there, and it's for the fiscal body to kind of look at. So hopefully we could.
The
maybe-
judges don't have it on their budget?
No.
Could we do that?
If
Is
you
it-
look
Well,
at the
that would be
budget,
for you
it's
guys to
under
decide who you want to
council.
oversee it.
It's one of ours.
Well, I would have each judge oversee their own budget on it.
But it's all one number, isn't it?
It's all
Yes,
one
it's
fund.
It's all one number.
I know, but you could,
Divided by 3?
yeah.
I think,
Well,
was it
no,
last year or a
'cause some
couple years
courts aren't
ago,
that
we kind of
expensive. Sub
talked
2 isn't that
about who
expensive.
would oversee this fund, and we don't really have anyone designated, and it never kind of, we
Like I
never made a
told
decision on that.
Scott, in the budget, it says that it's council, it's under the council funds,
That's-
which I kind of think is a good idea because we're the ones that have to appropriate, keep track of.
Well,
that kind of
I think
thing.
that's
Somebody
fine,
else
but
might lose it.
I think it's fine, but we have to then discuss with the judges, like, how many jury trials do you have coming up over they usually know, next 6 months. You know, they know what their schedule is. They say, they could tell you, like, here's the maximum number, like Judge Marshall could tell you, the maximum number he'll have in a year is 23. But he'll tell you what his usual numbers are. Then you would have a better idea. And it's usually for a day.
Well, I think the downside of putting that on, on their plate is then it creates more time and discussion for judges and time to come tell us jury, but when in reality, I don't really want to waste anyone's time. It is what it is.
We've got the numbers in front of us, and
Yeah.
when you feel like you want to,
Yeah.
we just don't want to be negative at the end of the
Yeah.
year. That's our big thing, and we don't want them not to have money to pay their jurors.
And this money that's coming in is directly from fees collected or,
I believe so.
Yes, the
It's
clerk
Fees are
collects
nothing.
fees and they're deposited once a month.
and the fees are collected for what reason?
Court fees.
Is it just part of the
Part of-
court?
it's part of the court
it's
fees.
I didn't know
We
if
don't
they had a
work over there.
percentage or a flat amount, or I just.
Maybe it's an action item next week to replenish jury pay from a yet-to-be-determined source.
Are there any other questions that you guys might have that we can maybe have available for you for next week?
Well, is it an actual law that we have to have it in that particular fund?
And we usually have done 25,000 at a time and then just do it again when it gets gone, right?
Yeah, it's like Mary said, usually we just let it go to the end of the year, but we never had this many trials this early or
This
jury.
early.
So.
That's more like of an end-of-year amount rather than now.
Yeah.
What did we start with?
All right, well, we'll settle that up next week then. Moving on to additional health funds, 5901, 5902. Still have our 1 million target reserve fund funded. Lit property tax relief, 6203. I did want to ask Greg, lit property tax relief, is there anything that we continually fund there? I noticed that our receipts are about in line with the beginning balance, and is that,
Isn't that your pass-through fund?
It is.
It is.
So no,
okay,
that's just a pass-through.
okay. Food and beverage is sitting healthy. We do have one other negative grant, at the bottom of that page, 8914 Chirp, that's judicial, yes?
That's the sheriff.
Operation
Yeah.
Pullover, the
Yeah,
church
sure.
OPO.
Okay, those funds are expected,
It's reimbursable grants.
okay. Sure. Same thing, next page, we're negative on the STOP grant, also reimbursable, correct?
Yes.
And then the CARES Act Fund, 8955, also still healthy, a little under $1 million. I did want to ask what council thought. You guys remember we did Health First Indiana, and then we got a bunch of extra money. The health department had agreed to pay for some things, like a navigator on a year-by-year basis. They changed Health First Indiana. We're not going to be able to afford to help you anymore. But has anyone, Sheriff, this question's for you too, has anyone had a recent conversation with them about whether those balances are healthy enough to help again with navigation in the coming budget.
Talked to them recently. Last year, when we went through this process, they said they were not, but I can reach back out and see what they're standing.
Yeah, do you mind? Reaching out? Or, because I was gonna ask somebody, if you add up all the health funds, I don't have their budget in front of me, but they look pretty healthy between them, several million. So if they could, if they can't afford it, if they could come explain why, that would be good as well. Any other questions on fund balances? All right, 2026 GO bond review. I did talk to Jim some about this. Do the commissioners have any updates on their pricing for items they put in the next bond?
Actually, I don't know that we're gonna be able to give the Ag Association $1.7 million.
Jim,
We have got so many things that we've got to do. I mean, we've got $1 million project over through the garage. We've got a second phase on the community corrections. We're spending 1.6 on windows and doors at the courthouse. We've got a lot of that, and we've not actually nailed it down yet, but I don't know that Jim's gonna get his money, so.
Well, and the IT projects have gone up
Yes.
to almost $700,000. We've got over 800,000 in new sheriff's cars, so,
Is 6.5 the number that, is that?
That's 6.8, wasn't it?
yeah, but that's for the
6.8.
fees too.
I think it's
so
6.8.
It's
But the
including the
fees will
fees.
be out of that, so
Yes.
it's 6.5.
I just, as a whole, I wondered how much was, if that number had changed.
so do you have the total on the county asset improvements? I didn't write fast enough.
Okay. Let's see. We've got 833,000 in sheriff's vehicles. Courthouse windows is 1.634 million. 690,000, I believe, in IT,
And that will go up,
and it could go up, yes.
yes,
We started at 400,000.
yes.
And then, let's see, what else do we have? To finish our projects with probation and community corrections building. And
We've got a million.
at the highway
That's
department.
actually 1 point something over the highway. So,
Somebody add that up, it's a lot.
One, highway was 1 point what?
I,
1.1,
1.1, and you said community corrections, probation,
community corrections
and the prosecutor's office,
Prosecutors.
prosecutor, what was that number?
we don't know
We
yet.
don't
They
know
didn't
yet.
have one yet.
We've got to finish the first project before we go to project 2, so.
So you are working on a resolution of
Yes,
need
we-
from the
we are
commissioners.
working on
That's great. We got a good early start this time.
So
Oh,
I think
and
what you're,
there's also 343,000 in radios and accessories.
Radio.
so are you pretty much thinking that you guys are going to swallow the whole 6.5 million before it gets any
I'm sure
leftovers?
it'll be close, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, because we're around 1.5, 2.5, 3.5, 4.5, pushing 5 there.
Get that resolution need.
I don't have any other questions. I just wanted to know if any of the numbers had been pinned down anymore on GO bond. Did anybody else have any discussion or questions about the next GO bond?
Have we identified potential places the council would like to push some money to if it's available? Or deputies or cars involved
Cars
in
was
that?
833,000.
Okay, so this is the county council side of it.
Well, the cars are on the commissioner's side.
Well, I mean, us in the GO bond.
Oh.
Just thinking ahead, is the money going to be there? So 300, besides those cars, is there something that we'd earmarked some money for? I can't.
Gary and Janine, does that cover some of the reimbursement too? I know we had some resolutions for reimbursement that were coming out of that bond, I think.
Not
The new
yet.
one?
I don't think
Because
so.
we were, what was it? We thought we might, but we come up with the money elsewhere,
Okay.
so.
I know, I think Jim was saying that There was 500,000 of the money that was already spent at 4-H that was expected to be reimbursed out of the last bond, and there was not room, right,
Actually, the
in that
garage is
bond.
2.7 is what we're looking. I just pulled up Gary's summary. It's 2.7 over at the garage.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense. 2.07.
And that's right, there, they
for
did,
highway.
did not, that 500,000 was supposed to be paid out of 2025. It was not, and now they want to take it out of 2026, and I don't know that that 500,000 is going to be available.
Was Jim suggesting that 1.7 was inclusive of
But
new
even 1.5,
improvements
I
and
don't
the
even think the
500?
1.5 is going to go either.
No, it went,
So-
he put it up to, what did he have that at? I think it was 2 point something.
Okay, so that he was putting the 500 on top of 1.7.
He rolled that 500 in it. And
So I can probably.
Can you speak
I
to
can
that?
probably help because it was, I believe, it was 2.2 million.
okay.
If you recall, in the last meeting, we took the 500 and said we would pay for it out of food and beverage, not out of reimbursement from the 25 bonds. That brought it down to 1.7 try to fit in. And so depending on where everything else comes. So at this point in time, we're still working with the Fairgrounds Board to even get their total project cost because they have to probably go out for bid. If they do not go out for bid, then we're going to have to do a forgivable loan. So to make a long story short, 1.7 was the try.
We've also requested the Ag Association come before us and let us know what they've done with the other monies that they've received.
A good idea.
So,
Yeah, and Deborah has a full accounting of that, I believe.
We require reporting, and
Yeah.
so we've got.
but
I
they
don't
need to
have
come
it
and report to the commissioners,
on me.
so.
Sure.
But you are in talks with them.
Working with how they're going to, actually, Lisa and I had a meeting with them on Teams just a week ago on how they have to go about it, yes.
Yeah.
So,
And it really probably going to be a little later this year.
so I have a question. Are we going to be able to do a geo bond in 27 and maybe push some of this off till then?
It's possible. I have not looked at that at this
Okay.
point.
That was, I know we've talked before about it. And this, a lot of people thought this might be one of the last ones, so.
Right. And I gave you that schedule of roll-off last meeting, and that will be telling for the 27.
Okay.
But yes, at this point in time, there's nothing that I'm aware of that the Boys and Girls Downtown Indianapolis did that would prevent that.
Because it seems to me if we got too much to spend money on, then we had to see what could be pushed on to 27.
And
I mean,
We'll-
which could be
we'll-
the,
normally look at that too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we take everything into consideration.
And the cars and radios are perpetual replacement expense.
Yeah, if
and
you don't
so-
replace those cars, you'll just fall behind. And,
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So-
think you've got them ordered, don't you, Brad?
Yeah, they're ordered this year.
But even looking to the future and the ability to do bonds, building improvements can always be argued about putting them off or not putting them off, but we've kind of built in a schedule for replacing cars and radios.
The
that's gonna be hard.
buildings right now that we're looking at, you can't put them off any longer. They've been put off for too many years as it is. So,
Long time.
And we
Yeah,
didn't
I
even
agree.
mention the memorial building.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a
we're
big
still
one,
trying to
too.
figure out what we want to do there.
Yeah.
Because it needs some upkeep too, and I don't know. If we had another spot for the veterans,
Awesome.
yeah. Well, the veterans is what makes that a memorial building.
Right.
right.
So we don't make any money off that. If we get rid of that, it goes back to Greenfield banking. It's,
All right, so more to come. I'm sure we'll keep talking about that next GeoBond. Greg, anything else you wanted to add on that conversation?
No, ma'am.
Keep moving on. While you're up here,
That's why I stayed.
the biggest item on the agenda in my mind, 2027 sustainability.
So we've been working very, very close with the auditor's office, getting the AFR filed and getting all the closing documents. And so we then put together the sustainability that I know you just got. So we were not going to talk about it in detail, but in April, we will talk about it more, give you a little chance to look at it. But I did give you the general fund. We handed that out, which is obviously the most important fund. And so if you look at 2026, and Keely, this is kind of staying on the theme we had from last year and the way it looks as we set the 2026 budget. We have total revenue of 29,491 if you're looking at the top sheet. Then if you turn the page, you will see that we have budgeted now approximately 31.2 million, which, as you can see, is above the 29 million, which we knew, right? Because we knew that from last year. So at this point in time, if we would spend 100% of our budget, we would then decrease the cash balance as shown on the line that says ending balance. If we only spend 98%, and if you can see that is based upon the prior spend of 101 and 97, again, I just said this in Monroe County last week, additional appropriations are sinking some of our counties, okay? And so we got to be real careful if we do additionals in the general fund, because it will catch up with you. And if the additional is almost a permanent expenditure, then it's going to have to go into the 27 budget. And so you're already kind of setting the 27 budget up every time you do an additional. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay.
Have we traditionally, Greg, I'm sorry, have we traditionally done a lot of appropriations out of the general fund?
Yes. Well, we've done a lot of additionals out of a lot of funds.
Right.
Not so much the general fund, but you can see in 2024, we spent 101%. So that's the additionals. Okay. That's how that caught us. And so, no, you know, a lot of times we have gone to food and beverage and things like that, and you'll see that in here once you look at the sustainability. Now, I also, because I was expecting Kent to tackle me on revenue, I gave you the two revenue sheets here for 2026, because you might say, well, wait a minute, Greg, why are you showing revenue going down from 31 million to 29 million? Well, if you turn to what's labeled at the bottom as page 10, you will see part of it is, don't forget, we've got that additional circuit breaker that's coming. Now, we did, at the council's request, we put in supplemental distribution of 1.5 million. We believe that could be still alive and well until we get to now enacting our new lit in 28/4/29. Okay, that was pushed back, by the way, and I'll go over that here in a minute. So, but you can see then the other issue would be on page 11, is that we are now expecting, or will probably start lowering our interest income. And we didn't take it down much. Our actuals were 5.4 million in 2024, 4.7 million in 25, and we went to 4.5. But we feel like once we get our new Fed chair in, and once everything starts going next year even more, then that may drop off to 3 million. Okay. And so a lot of counties are living on their interest income. You have it kind of built into your budget process now. So if it goes down, there'll be less revenue.
Have you, I know we haven't, but have you noticed the new construction permits that get pulled and our continued growth in the county? Is that stayed pretty stable, or do we start seeing a decline because of the economic environment? Or
I haven't looked at it real recently, but I think we're just holding our own.
yeah.
Do you mean residential or commercial?
I mean residential.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and
Yes.
I would assume we're a little bit above average for
Yeah.
the amount of growth that we continue to see. So maybe the added AV next year and next year will help offset some of this.
Yeah, and it'd be nice to get a little update from the planning department. I'm speaking at the planning department in Hendricks next week. But, so, yeah, that would be a nice little, but I think we're holding our own, doing
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Is capping growth quotient gonna be a drag on that, even if, as Mary says, we have excess growth? Are we going to suffer not receiving all those gains?
We'll have to stay tuned.
Okay.
Okay? It just depends on how that's all going to fall out.
Okay.
And quite frankly, everything, I'm telling everybody, from the legislature, they went home Friday. Don't like freak out yet. Things are a little bit better, and it's a matter of letting it all iron out a little bit.
So
Okay?
you're suggesting that 2027 estimated revenue of the general fund is basically, with rounding, 27.5 million.
Especially if we do not get supplemental lit.
And our actual spend,
Well, what I'm estimating the budget would be is 32 million. Obviously, number 5 on the agenda is going to have some impact, but we were very, very conservative in our, we've been recommending we put in 2% for payroll, and the all telling is going to be the insurance. I saw what the commissioners gave us, and then the group insurance. I mean, we're coming up with some municipalities that pay $20 an hour, and it costs them $20 an hour for benefits. At some point, it's going to be $21 for benefits and $20 for pay. And so that's getting, tough.
so you're talking about if 27.5 is estimated revenue of the general fund, and we're expecting a general fund budget of 32, a $4.5 million difference. I mean, we've been okay for years with spending a little more than we're bringing in because we had such healthy balances over target. But you're $4.5 million short on your revenue to expenditures a couple years, and you're in big trouble.
Now, I could say that, there's a $1.5 million swing in supplemental lit or interest income, give or take. But if both of those don't occur, that's where you're at, is what you just explained.
I mean, you'd be talking about next year cutting budgets.
Yeah, so when I'm concerned, in Mary's question about homes, as long as we keep bringing in, again, I don't care if it's a $100,000 home, as long as the person makes $1 million. I care about that because that is now and that is our future.
I think half of the county, and this is just my own personal opinion, but I think half of the counties probably already hit their caps on their residential assessment, and that the amount of revenue that'll come in on and above that, we're not going to capture anyway. So I think that's a conservative way to look at it too.
Every time I do an annexation study for a city, the value of the house is a break even. And I don't really care what the price of it is. It really is just break even with all the supplemental deductions and everything right now. It doesn't matter. Income's going to be the future.
You had given us the sustainability before, and I went through it with just my little calculator at home. But to see how much money approximately that we're going to get from one year to another above what our budget was the prior year, it wasn't pretty.
Yeah.
I mean,
I guess what I'm saying is we just have to be conservative or careful as we go forward.
like Sheila said, we may have to dip into the general fund and also cut budgets, both.
Yeah. Well, so 2027 budget's going to be a fun one. Now, keep in mind, I also, in the sustainability, I did build in those things that just recently came, which was the fact that we were adding courthouse security, 600,000 on the public defenders. Those were all spelled out on page 5, and it was a supplemental lit was not projected to occur, but the line item for courthouse security and inserting the public defenders increase, you'll see that in your big document. Okay, so that has been employed within the general fund also, Keely. So that was, if I recall correctly off the top of my head, that's almost 900, about $1 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't have page 5.
Right, it's in the
okay.
big document.
Oh, okay.
I gave up looking at all of it.
Yes, we didn't want to print this thing off because most of the time you have it on your computer and you can look at it, but I was not going to go over in detail today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I am happy to see in some of the past years when we look at the approved additional appropriations, there was a lot of different line items for a lot of different things that had just come up. And I think this last year we did a better job when something came up of saying, this is perpetual and just needs to be in the budget. And so when we look at last year's additionals, a lot of them were one-off decisions, buildings, big expenditures that aren't recurring monthly annual expense. So.
And I'm just saying, here on out, take your additionals and say it's one time or mark it that it is going to affect the 2027 and perpetually stay around, in the future. So make note of that because that's kind of important.
And did you just apply a standard inflationary increase on some of the things that go up every year, like the animal control and?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yeah, what we call an inflation index.
Yes.
And again, you sent this entire document out, right, to the council in PDF?
I don't know that I did.
I haven't received it.
Okay. So we'll get it to you.
Send it to Jim.
That's right, I did send
I
it to him for a review, quick review, and rumor has it he's out of town.
He is. He has an approved excused absence.
For some reason, he seemed to be calling me from a very sunny location.
The phone was glowing a little bit.
Yeah, so since he will not have time, Deborah, we'll go ahead and then send it to
Absolutely.
you to get to the entire group
Absolutely.
and have it available for April then. Okay.
We'll obviously keep talking about sustainability as a matter of planning our next budget in the months to come, but does anyone have anything else they wanted to touch on now?
Well, I will touch on this other page, the one I just handed out, which is also in the sustainability. And keep in mind what we're doing here. This is 1233 and 1234. And now we're trying to build the correctional facility additional building out there. And so at 5.8 million, I believe the number is. And so what I was showing you here is two things. First, we're saying at the end of 2026, subject to someone saying we can't but believe we can, we will basically put together 1233 and 1234. The reason why, we kind of brought this up the last meeting, the reason why is the law has changed and you do not have to do an 80-20 anymore. That came after we enacted it and we set it up this way. We don't have to do it that way, but you can see that what we're running into is 1234 is going to need more money anyways for 2026. It's coming down to a negative 688,000. So we've over budgeted on 1234. Now, we may not spend that entire amount, which in fact in the past we did not, but the answer is we're probably going to have to supplement, and rather than fooling around with a percentage, we would just put it in there together. Now, the plan is for 2026, we will take that 10 million that is now projected to be 9 million in 2026, And we are going to, again, cash fund the extension or the new building out there. So Gary, that won't have to be worried about to be funded by a GO bond or anything like that. And that's been the plan for 2 years while this has been coming about, okay? And so that is the way we're going to do it. I don't know if the commissioners had it on their agenda yesterday to accept the project price and to move forward.
We just got the project price and the whole deal yesterday. It will be approved on the 16th.
Perfect. So if approved on the 16th, then you already directed, I believe, the auditor's office in the last meeting. We said we would appropriate $5.5 million. We thought that Jim was adamant the project should not exceed $5 million. But if you recall, what I said in the last meeting is we better go 5.5, and it sounds like we'll have to go 5.8.
Yes.
The 5.5 appropriation, are you doing it now?
Public hearing is next week.
Perfect. That will allow the commissioners to sign, subject to Scott coming back, but that would be enough then for you to sign the contract if you decide, after substantial review, that you want to do that. Okay? And so, in essence, the county council has already agreed to fund it, or will, with this additional appropriation. Does that all make sense?
It does. And so back to what you were saying about these funds are essentially now interchangeable. They do not have to be held separate as capital and operations,
That's our
right?
belief.
And then does that look like still maintaining two funds and knowing you can expend either out of it? Or does that look like condensing the funds into one fund?
At the end of 12/31/2026, having one fund.
Okay,
on
one fund.
1/1/27.
And then, can you refresh my memory? I know we talked about getting some additional jail, some of the expense of the navigation stuff in the jail and the budget for the counselor in case we lose our sheriff's association grant at any point. Does that fit in here?
That is an additional one you'll see in the big document that I have built in. Yes,
You didn't put it in county general, you put it in jail operations?
correct.
Okay.
After thinking about it, and I mean, it's directly there.
That was my first thought
Yeah,
when I
yeah.
saw this. We can definitely put that.
And Jim and I had talked about it, and he said that made sense. That's how we ought to propose it.
Yeah,
So,
that's a good idea.
And are they like combining the two tax rates, so we still have the same amount of money?
I'm sorry, we only have one tax rate,
For
Robin, on
both
that.
of those?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't here when y'all did that. and I'm
Yeah,
lost on
it's
that.
only one. Yeah, and so that was what makes even more sense now, too.
Okay, yeah, that does.
Yeah. And remember, this is not a special purpose lit like 20 other communities. This was specifically within our general lit. Okay? So keep that in mind as we go into 29 and as you become the must group.
What?
The must group.
What's that mean?
State two.
Oh,
That's
no.
under top.
What a cliffhanger.
I know what it is.
Commercial break.
I know what it is.
Well, then what is it?
To number 4.
Yes, if you're ready,
bringing
go
all the
for it.
counties and
Okay.
cities-
Well,
county and
welcome to
cities
the
and
must
towns
group.
together.
Okay.
The Municipal
Later date.
Unit Strategic Task Force,
Municipal Unit Strategic.
UST. Yeah,
It's set forth in 1210.
right. So basically, 1210 is said, let's see, I'll put it nicely. You and the city and all are going to get together and play together.
You don't have to. You don't have to.
Well, hang on, I'm getting there. You're supposed to get together, and you're supposed to talk, and you're supposed to say, how are we going to divide the tax rate or $1?
Oh, that'll be good.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be fun. and so, as Marty Hawk from the County Council of Monroe said last week, but if we choose not to, we don't do it. Okay, and that's basically what it comes down to. Is you're supposed to get together. You're supposed to send them a plan next year, the state legislature, on how you're going to divvy up the LIT. The whole the whole point is that at some point in time, let's use the city of Greenfield. If it has a lot more income and it can gain more money, then it's going to stay out of your must group, right? And but for towns and cities that they don't have strong income, then what we're basically going to do is go back to the same old lit distribution. We're going to use the entire AGI of the county. Okay. So just when you thought the water got less muddy, it's going to get more muddy.
And to let you know, I know Gary and I are probably the only ones that know this because we've been contacted. It's not Greenfield that's asking for it. It is Cumberland. That is desperately already asking for it.
Told me somebody was. Yeah.
It's Cumberland. They're the ones that are in trouble, it sounds like. So,
right.
Obviously, we got to get good people in there to manage money. I mean, that's what it's about. And I'm happy to meet with them. I don't know if Gary's happy. I mean, you're always happy to meet.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't want to tax the people more they're already being taxed.
That's true.
So.
The good news, though, is, we don't enact the rate till 28 and 29. But if you thought your county council position was busy now, it's going to get a little busier.
Because I think
and the executives too.
I think the bill requires that the whole council has to approve whatever we decide.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Greg.
So it's not just one person.
Right.
All your executive branch is retired at this point in time, so we got time.
There is a rumor of that effect. I'm glad to hear that.
Deb, did you have a question on that?
Yeah, because I was on the AIC lit call when they were discussing the task force. And I haven't heard the outcome. So did they implement the task force, one representative from each municipality sitting on that task force to determine the needs of each municipality, city or town and county?
I think so, but everybody's going to want to be involved.
Well, I said, the county would want 7 representatives if there's several different municipalities, because if you just are fighting for the county. So I just wondered how that kind of fell out.
The answer is let's let a little dust settle, and then we'll proceed forward, okay? Because you don't want to be reactionary.
Watch it blow up in other counties and then to see how to go.
Well, but you have a limited time. You have till the end of this year, I think.
Yes.
Yes.
You got to make
there is
a report.
A limited time.
You got to make a report to them next year about how you might play together, and or you might tell them you're not going to play together.
And when you say that,
pardon me.
When you say that, I'm a little confused on. I mean, the county tax, or whatever we decide we need for income tax rate, is countywide. So are we assuming that what the cities and towns want is over the total cap, and that's why you have to collaborate? Or
again, you'll have to come up with your plan. For 91 counties will have to come up with a plan.
I think it's all just going to be an open negotiation of what you can live with.
Yeah, and it's a matter of what everybody needs, and going from there. And then what income you're going to apply that to. So if, I live in Hendricks County, I might end up paying Plainfield's rate.
Yeah.
So, even though I don't live in Plainfield. But quite frankly, you're kind of paying it now.
Yeah.
Okay? So it is kind of bringing it back to almost where we are.
and the individual cities and towns, okay, they decide their tax rate need. We have to vote on their income tax rate? No.
If you're playing together.
If we're playing together, yeah.
But if, as Scott said, if you say, or I told you, one of the Monroe County said, well, we'll play together until it doesn't work, and then if it doesn't work, we'll go on our own.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
So in theory, playing together means if cities and towns want to raise their taxes, we have to vote yes by being
majority.
collaborative.
Right.
Whereas if we're not collaborative and they want to raise their income tax, then they can do that on their own because we're not playing together.
That is the understanding March 4th.
Okay.
Yeah, because they're still, I think lawyers and stuff, we talked before, that they're still trying to interpret exactly what this all means. 'cause
And
it's kind of-
determining
it's not
whether,
written very the
if
best.
some people want to play together and some people don't, does the decision lie with the county ultimately about whether we choose to collaborate with anyone or no one or
The
everyone?
county council decides that, yeah. But keep in mind also then, you make a report and you say, here's the problem with Greenfield and us not playing, or playing together. Okay, and they said, okay, give us those challenges and those things, and maybe we'll change the law again.
So does every entity that has a tax rate would be involved in that play nice together
Everyone that
scenario?
receives a income tax
I'm
rate.
thinking like the townships
Every-
and the
well,
libraries and the whoever.
They're
whoever.
also part of it because
they're
it
part of
does
that big
bring in fire
discussion.
and, yeah,
They're part of the big discussion.
yeah, fire and EMS, yep. Because there's flexibility in that distribution now too. But,
That's
so,
good.
Although that bill does set that they did put in that bill that our libraries have to be, the money has to be distributed. We have a specific line for Hancock County in that bill.
which, thank gosh, and we should keep that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that just makes it a little bit better.
Well, check
my
the box
opinion.
off.
So, okay. So, good news, pushback, bad news, that. I'll go ahead. Jim asked me to talk about number 6 before we go to number 5. In number 6, if you recall, he mentioned that the last meeting. Blue River and Brandywine did not have a levy this year. And he contacted me and said, Houston, is that a problem? And I said, well, maybe, okay. Maybe they intentionally didn't do it. Maybe they had more than enough money. I don't know. We'll get a whole, and I said, what would you want to do? The council discussed it, and if you recall, the motion last meeting was for me to contact them. Quite frankly, we weren't going to, and I told Jim we weren't going to contact them until the boys and girls downtown went home, okay? And a score sheet came out in between to all the townships, and I'm sure Mickey filled out her score sheet, and you scored 0, right? Yeah, so she scored 0. Now, you would think 0 means she didn't turn in her homework, right? Bad, Mickey. Well, that's not the case. This means that Buck Creek has their stuff together, so to speak. They're doing, so the lower the score, the better. If you scored over 40 or 4, and I was going to give the county council, I filled out several of them with several townships. We'll give it to you. But the ones that scored over 4, and you just can see it, we'll have to basically find a neighbor like Mickey and say, Mickey, can I join you? And you know, so that's part of Senate Bill 170, or not 179, but part of the overall township bill. And so this is going to get interesting too.
Don't they have to be next to Mickey?
Pardon me?
That continuous, they have to be, which I don't think
At
the
least
ones.
one next door neighbor.
They might want to be with Mickey, but I don't think those can.
Scott, if you're next door to Mary and Mary had above a 4,
Yeah.
then she got to come and talk to you, Scott, and
Okay.
say,
I need a
hey,
loan.
can we get together? And, you know, and
The
then
kids need shoes.
Mary might also go to her other neighbor that didn't score 4, you know,
Okay.
and she might say, Robin, can I join you if Scott doesn't let me? You know, this is going to be kind
They
of
join
interesting.
more than one, or they can only join one?
At least one.
So they can join more.
That's my
if
understanding.
you're gonna
So,
spread it
Oh,
out.
everybody join me.
Yeah.
But
what-
in some
what
of
did we
those
accomplish
cases,
then?
it might be an opportunity because,
A mess.
like, let's say Center Township has a neighbor, then they might be looking at it like they barely tax their people for their fire service. We're already covering these calls through mutual aid, and we can add all that AV and start applying our tax rate to their AV who we're already serving anyway, right?
Right.
Does that not create the territory though, Greg?
Pardon me?
Because field as a fire territory, does that not create an issue then? Because they would have to reform to incorporate the new.
Yes.
So that creates.
So, yeah.
Well,
I
it
think it's-
does, but the only way to reset your tax rate of a territory is also to draw new lines, which some people might be interested in.
I think the
so.
overall goal is if you've got 3 townships that are scoring really high and you got, or let's say you've got one township that scored 0, you've got several of them that are next door neighbors that aren't, the consolidation will be required. We'll start paring down the number of townships. Okay? So the efficiency is supposed to be better by just, why do we, if we have a township that is really not working, then this will make it hopefully work better.
So you're saying that they would absorb that township into their
Correct.
township, and that township would just cease to exist by name and be part of the,
That's my understanding,
Oh, wow.
yes,
I
on
didn't
March
realize
4th.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So-
when Jim asked you to touch on that, that was just an update, nothing for us to do or watch or.
Right, I was going to contact them and say, why didn't you put together a budget? But in between that meeting and this meeting, the score sheet came out and the wave of trying to eliminate township got greater. So now the question is, we'll just get the score sheets and see where everybody's at.
So
They may
did-
not even fill that out, I don't know.
Right.
Did DLGF, are they the ones that did the scores? Who did the scores?
They sent out the sheet.
Yeah.
And you automatically scored yourself, like
Oh,
I
you
said.
scored it
Yeah,
says
Mickey
self-report.
scored herself at 0.
Do you have a copy of that
Pardon me?
sheet? Do you have a copy of the sheet?
Yes, I do. And I was going to, one of my staff members was going to send it to you if they could find an unfilled out one. And so, yeah. And Mickey probably
Is it
has one
uploaded
too.
to the Gateway is it uploaded to Gateway at all?
I don't know that. I think it was turned back into DLGF directly. That's what we did. Yeah, yeah. So, Scott, you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay.
Just stretching, just stretching.
So
Okay.
that's where we're
breath.
at on 6. So maybe now, Keely, if we want to go back to 5.
Okay. Yeah, Jim did mention that there was some discussion about a proposed 2% salary increase for 2027. You said that this sustainability that you provided today did include
That is correct.
that number, correct?
Yep.
I think that was a pretty broad discussion, though.
was.
We didn't kind of get a consensus of that number. And something that I just want to throw out there, that I looked up the 2026 cost of living increase, and this percentage will go on to Social Security as well, is 2.8. And with the amount of monies that we were comfortable for this year, that we could pay that, because starting next year and the year after, there may be a span of time that there's no raises because of this new legislation going in. So my recommendation is to meet the cost of living percentage at 2.8 at a minimum.
Or 27.
Yes.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about too.
Because don't forget, in 26, we gave the raise and we gave the 27 pays.
Well,
The
they earned
estimated
that-
cost
they
of
earned that money, though.
2.8%.
That's fine.
Yeah, we did.
I don't know what total salaries add up
Yeah,
to,
3%
so
too.
I'd like to know what the actual number is.
Well, I can't remember off the top of my
A
head.
very big number.
It's
I figure it's our biggest number.
It's around
Yeah.
24
Our salaries,
million,
I think, are the
It's
largest
a lot. I don't have it with
we
me.
pay.
The only
When you're
thing,
considering salaries, I
900,000
mean,
of
our
pay.
people are our most important assets.
Yes.
You know, I would rather see
Right.
them get maybe 3% versus, we could take it away from somewhere else.
Just the 27 pay alone was almost like $900,000.
Yeah, and I don't like it being referenced that that's like a bonus or anything. Those people work those hours and they should be compensated. So I don't think saying the 27th pay is additional salary.
well, that comes off, right?
Yeah.
Because we changed the salary ordinance from annual to biweekly. And the
Yeah.
intent there was that meant that the 27th
Paying
pay
them for the-
was not a bonus or
It
a
wasn't,
raise that
no.
rolled into the next year. It falls back off by the nature of switching our salary ordinance to biweekly, correct?
Correct.
So now you're back to their actual 2-week paycheck number. The 27th pay is back out of the mix now by nature of changing that. And we are just talking about an increase that does fall to the hour, basically, Mary, like you're saying. My, and I'm not prepared to make any kind of specific case, but last year after we approved budgets and the 27th pay, I went in and started pulling random positions out of random departments and breaking down by the hour, since most employees work a 35-hour work week, what that is in hourly pay. And it is pretty substantial. I mean, if you average out that pay over a 40-hour work week all year, it is significantly less. The nature of only working a 35-hour work week, I went and tried to find comparable jobs on like Indeed last year, and
What
even
was the price per hour that you got? That's interesting.
well, a lot of our lower paid employees are still making $22 or more an hour, plus a pension, which, you know, as somebody who's been in finance for 22 years, we can't write off the pension as of no value. I mean, that is a huge value. And the health insurance here is far better than anything I ever had in publicly traded corporate America. And so when we talk about fair pay, I would just really want to, if we were getting over 2%, I'd really want to sit down and discuss what people are actually making by the hour, because I don't think it's as little as some people perceive it to be.
Especially once you include benefits and all that.
Exactly. I mean, I didn't even include that. When I say 22 plus an hour, that was not giving any value to pension or health insurance. That was truly the hourly pay. So I am hesitant to, especially given the fact that we're talking about being millions of dollars under anticipated revenue, I'm really hesitant to jump on board with.
So what we wanted to do is get it out as a discussion point, and then from it's March, we're going to blink and we're going to be in the budget. So if you need certain information as a council as a whole, let us know so we can get there. Because I've got to double check that we took out the 27 pay, and you've got to make sure you take it out in your calculations and everything like that.
Because we won't have 27 pays, it'll just be 26.
Right, right. So we can get the amount of 1% to the general fund of just the increase, and be able to kind of or calculate from there. But that's what we wanted to hear, is what you want.
Well, I want us to be careful in using estimated average per hour rate, because from that, there are some highly paid special types of education requirements for certain offices. So those salaries are going to be up. So if you factor that in to become an average, I don't know if that's fair.
Yeah, we weren't going to do that. With the auditor's office, we're going to use the actual pays.
I'm talking about for calculate. I'm talking about for 27 when we start discussing that pay
That's
range.
what I'm talking about too. We're not using average, using actual salaries. And we've got, matter of fact, we got the database from last year where we did that same thing. So we just need to update that for the actual 26 non-27 pay.
I guess if I was going to ask to see any number in making a decision, it would be if we applied a 2% increase to each salary. I'm assuming the 27th pay came out, right? So the salary is the right salary. And if you applied a 2% increase just across the board, I'm not saying you how to run this, but, and then you divided that by the number of hours worked in a year on a 35-hour work week, what that equates to an hourly pay. Because I think that it is, even for our lowest 10% paid employees, I think it is substantially more, without accounting for the benefits, than you can go get a similar job for in Hancock County in the private sector.
But that's the last thing that these guys want to
That's the
do
last
is.
thing we want, because, when you lose an employee, you spend $100,000 in recruitment retention and.
Training.
That's what I'm
and
saying.
training.
And
Yeah.
also, we won't know, it'll be after the budget season before we even know what our benefits are going to cost us next year.
I was going to ask that question. Have you any indication if you're going to?
I've got some stuff on our self-insured liability, workers' comp and stuff like that to share with you this morning so you know.
About 10%.
But, yeah, we will have no idea what our benefits will cost next year until later in the year.
Well, and I'm not so sure that we make as much or more than the private sector, because back when I was auditor and I would interview people for the job, I had many walk out because we weren't even close. I had a receptionist in a place that paid way more than we did. I couldn't hardly believe it.
I had
plus
that same-
benefits.
Yeah, I
But it's
experienced
not
the
the
same
case
thing.
now. We've done so many raises in the last 5 years.
But we
that-
don't know that for a fact.
And those raises have been to stay competitive, though, that we don't lose somebody to Shelby or Henry or Madison or wherever that's close enough for them to make that decision that they can drive there, and it still is a raise for them, even though they may be driving a little farther.
So maybe
We
one
can get
other,
whatever information you like. I mean, not everybody works 35 hours, but that's what I've often told my team. Hey, we work 35 hours, so this actually is more than what, a 40-hour
Yeah,
work week would
right.
be. But we can get whatever information that you want. As long as I know in advance, we can have that ready. Or you guys, anyone can come up and sit down and talk to payroll and have information pulled up. We're happy to do that.
Yeah, no, I'd
I
like
think
to,
that's important information.
I'd like to bust our butt to try to meet that cost of living, but just would like to work some more to get to know the numbers. But I'd like to put it as a priority to get there.
I agree.
and Deborah, do you want to discuss, so in order to move ahead with the 27, where we're going to go with payroll, we said we need to delete the 27th pay, 2027 is what I meant. We need to delete the 27th pay, and you wanted to bring up the fact that we want to keep the 2027 or the 27th pay according to the council minutes of August, right?
I had been.
What's that?
I had been asked the question about kind of how we're doing this right now. I think someone was confused, but we did the 27th pay according to the special meeting and the direction that we got from council. So if there's any changes that need to be made to that, then I would need another motion from you as a fiscal body.
I don't understand.
Okay, let me explain a little bit.
I had a department head reach out to me and ask me to go over this 27th pay again, and if they have to do an appropriation out of there, but where and what? And I wasn't prepared to answer that question. I know we approved 27th pay, that's general fund, to cover the ones that are in general fund, but the question really became offices that have, I'll use the recorder, has a perpetuation fund that they pay their staff out of. What if that perpetuation fund does not have the ability to pay that 27th pay? So I talked to Deb, and then she read it through and said this has been finalized for months, that overage would come then from the general fund. So the individual office will fund that 27th pay within the funds that they pay from if they can. But if they cannot, then it's going to roll to the general fund.
That's over, right?
Yeah, that's over.
That's
There was
over.
just a
Right,
continuous
right.
question from.
Yeah, but the department heads are struggling with the,
Yeah, so I
There's
had
some
one reach
department
out,
heads struggling.
wanted it explained to them again.
Because in this sustainability, did you reduce anticipated expenditures by the amount of the 27th pay?
That's what I've got to double check.
Because if these numbers, these could be a lot better, because that was almost $1 million by the time you accounted for FICA taxes and everything. It was not supposed to roll into this next budget, so that should drop the anticipated expenditures over 2026 by nearly $1 million. And then by the time you add in 2 or 2.5%,
Yeah,
you're good.
and I'm
But
going
if
to double
it's-
check that.
If it's not taken out of here, it's, yeah.
Well, I just wanted to say that out loud too. If there's any department heads that are still wondering that question, the one that reached out to me, that was how we addressed it.
Yeah, and we did it according to the motion that you made, and the 144s. This particular department had actually even signed a 144 for that extra pay to come out of that
Fun.
fund. So I'm not real sure, but I'm happy to take a look at anything if there's any issue. But it would
Yes.
require redoing everything.
So the way we understand it, you and I understand it, is if we had the 27th pay coming out of all 26 pays coming out of the health fund, the 27th pay would come out of the health fund if it was going to go negative.
Correct.
If 26 pays coming out of a perpetuation fund and we try and post the 27 to the perpetuation fund and it goes negative, then it would change back to the general fund. And remember, that's recoding the payroll process.
Yes.
Which is pretty important, because then you got to recode it back, right, for the fund at which it hits. But if a highway fund could sustain, no doubt about it, its 27th pay.
Correct.
So it's on that case-by-case basis is what I heard from you, Mary, and I think what I understood when we did the special minute meetings, the minutes of the special meeting.
So I guess my number one question then would be to ascertain the new anticipated 2027 payroll number, now that the 27th pay is supposed to fall back off that gross number, and make sure that that isn't in sustainability, and then apply the inflationary percentage. What we've done in the past is somebody's shown up with a number that said, here's what happens at 2%, here's what happens at 3%, here's what happens at 4%. So you can just see the total hit.
Right.
So if we can make sure 27th pay fell off, make sure that this number doesn't account for getting that again, and then see the comparisons of a few percentages, that would be, I think.
That's what I'm suggesting, and where we probably, that's what we needed from you all.
Yeah.
So we can
Yeah, we've done
get
it.
So it's a-
working on that before it gets too late.
So it sounds like 2% and 3% are definitely two numbers to run.
Because once that 27th pay falls off, we might see that 3% number and go, oh yeah, that's totally doable. If it was 3% on this number, it's scary.
Yeah. We will be more than revenue. There's no doubt about it with any of those numbers.
Right, any case scenario, we're net negative.
Especially with picking up the 900,000 of additional legal and additional courthouse. Don't forget that. That got put in here into the 26 budget.
I know, I was not going to support funding all of that, but.
Yep, okay. So, did you want to go through the other benefits while we're talking about salary? We might as well.
This is our self-insured plan and our, it's our liability, commercial property, inland marine, which is our equipment umbrella policy, workers' compensation, which is through IPEP, and cybersecurity. Last year, our premiums were $1,197,201 for 2026. Next year, when I talked to Jim, I originally thought that the expense would go up about 9%, but I think we're about 5%. So next year, our premiums will be, as you're budgeting, you might want to write this down or keep it close, $1,260,729, which is a difference of $63,458. I'm really pleased that that's all they went up, because number one, our biggest culprit, of course, always is car accidents, because we've got the highway and the sheriff's department, but they have really stepped up. We've had 51 total claims. Total dollars incurred was, and this is auto, general liability, and professional. Total incurred was $130,000. Total paid $35,000. Total we have in reserves $100,000. And our self-insured claims, which are claims that the commissioners have given, brought us to the sheriff to, to pay, make the option to pay. So that was $79,924. So really come a long way, and I think that this in 2027 will really show how hard working on our risk management and insurance. So also last year, or for 2026, our stop, it is still 300,000 per incident. And our stop loss is at, this year is 910,000. Next year, it will be $1 million even. We've got a little less than 500,000 in our self-insured. And of course, those claims won't be paid over, back to back to back to back to back. Some of these things will take 2 to 3 years to go. But, I don't know, you may consider, like we did with the health fund, maybe a fund money. What did we say? 4,900? 4700.
I think we briefly touched on whether or not we needed to change that target balance, Greg. Does that ring a bell? And we had decided in that meeting to leave it. You were here for that.
Correct. We said we would review that later in this year. We've got till 6:30. We wanted the boys and girls to go down from downtown Indianapolis. We wanted to kind of start thinking about this before we move any more funds. And so specifically on this, because, we do have a good balance there, and I'm a little bit reluctant if our general fund is going to project it to go down.
Yeah.
So.
And I know the health insurance in this sustainability report, I know we don't have it firmed up yet. What did you budget for the health insurance to increase?
5% for what Janine's talking about, 7% for health.
Okay, and then we find out the actuals when?
In the fall.
October, something like that.
Oh,
but
so-
we get a feedback. We get a little feedback.
We do have a clinical meeting coming up here sometime in the near. We may be able to.
Yeah.
Because they're really good at forecasting out their numbers and what have you. And back to self-insuredness on the liability side, we own the Amplify building, and that insurance premium starting in June. So that's money that we need to, not only be just a few months through March 11th, be just a few months, June, August, September, October. No, it'll be about 10 months worth of premium. So once fees to amplify that to look for.
Just for the building or all the activities at the building?
Gary, I think, is working with the committee right now. We have yet to have a contract with on Amplify.
What it is, we've got the ownership or the managing group and our insurance company. They've not actually jived together. I'm trying to set a meeting with Lisa Lee, Mary, and Brian and myself. And that way we can get everybody on the same page as to what coverage they need. So.
Yeah, that's something that's been an ongoing
we also-
discussion
The
at our
partnership
Amplify
agreements will
meeting.
dictate,
Yes.
IU's liability for their students, that
Right.
type of thing.
Yeah.
And the
Pre-committed.
schools and the
And they'll absorb their
participating
own.
people will need to pony up with their own liability and workers' comp and that type of thing. So we're just looking at the building.
Yeah, and if you recall, Keely, on the 7% for the group health insurance, it was my understanding the county was getting their new HR person.
Yes.
And do we have that new HR person?
She will start in a couple of weeks.
Super. Then what we were going to do is get actual spend to budget on a monthly basis, and that's what I'm doing in every one of my counties. And then we get a feeling for where our actual spend is towards our budget, and whether then that 7% would need more of a bump because of the actual spend. But if we're doing good with what we've budgeted, then maybe we won't. So we've got to start, once we get this new person, we've got to then start tracking it. And I think at each budget committee meeting, we have an update on actual to budget spend on group health.
She did say, we talked with her yesterday, she did say that it could be sooner than that. depending on her employer, they like to end things really quick, so I mean,
We're putting together her offer
Yes.
letter as we speak, so
Yeah.
that hopefully.
I think
by the end
everybody
of
would be
the week we'll know.
pleased. Very professional, very
Yeah.
good.
Great. And remember, that is predicated on the number of people that you have lasered out. And, we deal with this in Shelby County and Tippecanoe County every month. How are we doing? How many people do we have coming off versus last year or going on to to where we're being lasered out and we get reimbursements and/or ensuring the amount up to. So that's real critical in driving that 7% factor that we're using. Okay? It's pretty complicated, but that's what takes place.
Okay.
Thanks, Janine, for that update, and we'll so probably in 2027, we need to put 1.5 at least for all of these. That's what and again, that's why we're putting together round one of the sustainability. We got to talk these things out, and then we'll get the better update.
Is there any other old business for?
And just on identifying outstanding bond balances, we've worked on it. You're working on it. You got something for us?
I do have some things, and one of the things that we're doing, obviously, is we just pay the claims as they come in, and it's not for us to decide what we're earmarking. We just do what we're told, but it's fluid, right? So that's going to change. But right now, we've got on the 2021 GO bond, there is $469,242.69. Now, that's just what's left. That we're not sure if that's earmarked or not, so that.
It should be earmarked.
So the commissioners, they might have discussions that we're not aware about. Of 2022A, which is 911, there's no change. They have 159,342.56 there, but I believe that is totally earmarked. And then the 2022 GO bond, you'll see that it says marked for projects at 159.91, 998, 87. We actually are showing 1,571,000, but I think that's you've got a phase two is
Project 2.
yeah. So you've got phase two you're using on that. 23, and there's no changes. About $150,000 that I don't know if it's earmarked or not. And then your 2025, I know that things are coming in as you speak,
Yes.
and we're down to 3,980,253.07. Again, things are coming in, but that's just not earmarked in our system as of yet. So I don't know if that's helpful or not, but I do know that we have to be careful and make sure that we get this money spent.
Correct. And we'll probably have to do, like I said, we may have to do some arbitrage rebate calculations as these balances are getting down, and that's required by the IRS. So
You said on the 2021, the top 965 is all earmarked?
Yes.
In our system, there's the 469 that we haven't received direction on, but
Gary's saying that
they've got a project that we just haven't, like I said, it's fluid, that we just haven't updated on here yet, evidently.
It looks like everything on this page is spoken for.
Damn near.
Basically, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe like 20,000 here and 20,000
Our buildings
there.
cost a lot of money,
They do. don't they?
and we can't get anything done cheap.
and they're falling apart in
Yes.
every county.
Yep.
Greg, on timing and criteria, I mean, are we okay here? Is the fact that we are about to issue another bond this year and these are earmarked but unspent, are there any
Well, that's where
deadlines on that?
we'll sit down and do, if required on each of these, we're going to look at whether we have to do the arbitrage rebate calculation. We should not have earned over the yield, but that determination needs to be made. But as long as it's marked for projects and it's working, and we're saying that with a good, honest, straight face, then if IRS would come knocking, we've got to be prepared to answer those questions.
I'm sure all the delays we ran into are well documented on,
I tell you what, I've never seen anything take 5 years to complete. And that's where community corrections has been. It's embarrassing that every time we get going, we get stopped again. So I've never seen it happen.
I know you ran into a lot of like permitting, planning type.
Well,
Flood stuff.
the flood, all that kind of stuff, and which we should have already reevaluated that flood zone, simply because if we don't have the possibility of being flooded again, in which we can drive a car through the pipe that we put there, okay, we should have already reevaluated that, because it could be saving homeowners along that ditch thousands of dollars a year. Because after they redefined flood zone, 100-year, it's not 100-year anymore. It's less than a 1% chance of flooding. And could be anywhere. So,
All right.
and anybody signing up for new flood insurance is getting a much higher rate than what people were originally.
Any other comments or questions on GO bond balances?
I have nothing further.
All right, auditor business.
I have something, it's very quick. I don't know if Scott sent out the email in regard to the elevator situation. We've got a total invoice bill of $298,903.92. Half of that, the
49 something?
yeah, it's 149,451.96 is being requested to be paid in advance. We can do that according to the new law that's changed. I've attached the IC code to the email that I originally sent. But it does require a motion from the fiscal body. The commissioners did make a recommendation for Corey to come. He couldn't be here today, to have that motion made so that I could pay that 149 in advance.
I just find it super convenient. They put it right under 150. It's like, how much do I want to charge? Oh, wait, 150, we got a problem, so 149.
Yeah, well, but
I'm just glad it
150,
come there.
they have to, at 150, they have to insure it. They have to get a
Yes,
surety
yeah,
bond.
I know.
But I think that they'd still have to have you guys request it. But
Yes,
yeah, I thought it was,
they do.
I chuckled a little on that too.
Do we have any funds that we try to use for capital expenditures that?
Well, this is be paid out of the 2025 bond.
Yes.
Oh,
It's for the
okay.
elevator.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has to be totally reworked. All of our,
Electronics.
all the electronics, in it. We've spent $20,000 over the last 6 weeks, and it just keeps, just domino effect. And it's time that we redid that whole elevator system, and it's gonna take possibly 6 weeks to get it all done. It's not a quick fix.
More, yeah.
It could be
The
even
money's
more.
already appropriated,
We've already
so all
already
you
got
need is the motion, and do you
that I
want to?
could prepay, that I could pay in advance with the proper
'Cause
documentation.
normally we can't pay in advance.
Yeah.
And that's also a precedent we set a long time ago, but Deb was correct and she pulled the
The IC code.
applicable statute, which does allow for something like this.
What-
But it's atypical. It's not something you would normally need to, because it's a liability issue
It's-
too.
For handicap.
Would
That's-
anyone like to make a motion authorizing the auditor to prepay the named expense?
I'll do it. As this is an emergency situation, I am making even though it's not completely on the agenda, I'm making a motion to approve the invoice that we have before us in the amount of $149,451.96 for the elevator to be
Or prepayment.
prepayment for
Authorization.
authorization for the elevator to be done.
We have a motion, we have a second.
I'll
Clark?
second it.
Oh. Clark, did you second?
Oh.
Yeah.
Give
Motion on
it
the
to
floor,
Clark. He was probably
Councilman
faster.
Wooldridge, second with Councilman Clark Smith. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes. Any other auditor business, Deb?
I don't think so.
And before we approve the minutes, just to recap, we have next week, a discussion again on jury pay. And then did we say that the, continued discussion on proposed salary increases will also be a line item next week? Or is that too soon to have the number?
Well, I would like very specifically what information you want me to have available.
Is that too soon for you to provide, clarity on whether the sustainability included backing out the?
I'm going up to the auditor's office after this meeting, so that is probably too quick.
Yeah, we can just do it at the next budget meeting.
Okay, so will you add that to the next budget meeting and we'll talk about jury pay next week?
Absolutely.
Not that you can't talk about percentages if you still wanted to discuss that.
Yeah.
I think it's 2 or 3.
We're not ready to
No, we need to.
set it. Yeah.
Anything else for the next couple agendas that was brought up today you think you need added?
Well, you just have to, the normal, you have to give a report next week.
The what?
You have to give a report next week. Yeah, about this meeting.
Oh,
You know how?
right.
Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure. The
right?
recap, right, yes.
I would like to just add that Robin and I are still working on the abatement application, and we will be meeting after the meeting next week. But I had sent out the application to everyone to look. If there's anything that's a sticking point with you, it'd be nice that we could discuss it at our next meeting and then take it to our committee. I'd like to get this finalized in case we have someone come knocking and we're not ready with our new form yet, so.
Do Scott or Deb, Mary, do you guys have a line item for that next week? You said
Yeah,
next
I've already
week.
put it
You already
on
got it
there.
on there. Oh, okay, perfect.
I make a motion to approve the February 4, 2026 minutes.
We have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All those against, nay. All abstain for absence. If there's nothing else for the good of the order, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second? All right, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.